I invite as our first speaker the internationally revered meditation master Anandamurti Guruma. Guruma is herself an accomplished singer and poet. She has a personal commitment to work for the well-being of women, a concern she shares with His Holiness the Karmapa. His Holiness has visited her ashram and she has visited His Holiness at his residence in Dharamshala. We are honored indeed to be able to welcome Guruma to participate in Karmapa 900 Delhi and invite her to kindly take the podium. Guruma Anandamurti.
I wish to congratulate all the beautiful people who are sitting here in auspicious company of His Holiness Karmapa, and on such an honorable event when we are all together here, remembering, honoring the great Master who introduced such a mind-boggling, beyond the logical phenomenon peripheries of human mind, that a person decides to come back, and not only decides to come back, but also pinpoints the place, the house, the parents, the form, the shape which would be chosen, and the time, in the dimension of time, when that appearance would happen. This is something which is very remarkably unique, which we don't see something like this, similar or even close, being practiced anywhere in the world other than the Mahasiddhas of the yogi tradition, who had been practicing this, and one of the Mahasiddha, it is said about not only one but many, who chose to come back to earth to help the transient beings to come out of the bondages created by the human mind, to come out of the darkness of their own subconscious mind, and to avail the reality and to be able to understand the difference in between permanent and impermanent, to realize the difference in between what is an illusion and what is not an illusion. But a mind which is obsessed and is bound with the body, for such a mind, these things seem too lofty. A mind which is a slave of its own desires, slave of its own darkness, cannot even fathom that some person can, with his will, with his Master's grace, and with sincerity of the efforts being done in the spiritual practice, someone can rise above the boundaries of the mind and be not the slave, but the master of the mind. This is a possibility which is shown to us by great masters, not by their words, not by their scriptures, but by their very life, but by themselves being an example to that. The song of Mahamudra, which we were hearing now, the beautiful song of Sarah and Tilopa, the beautiful verses given to us which have been so wonderfully protected, preserved by the Tibetan Buddhism, in face of so many hardships, and yet this wisdom, these gems are still intact with us. And these pearls of wisdom can enrich anybody who will seek the refuge with the Master. Because the Master is not the form, and that has been portrayed by so many, I would call, living masters, and those masters whom the world saw as dead, but then they came up again as a new ripple on the surface of the ocean, where the individuality was same, but the expression was different. And that is what we have over here now also. One Lama in 11th century, and then one Lama now here in the 21st century. The form is definitely not going to be the same, because form is a very changeable entity. I, who stood in front of you just 3 minutes ago, has already changed. But if you could have those eyes to see the change which occurred in my body, and the change which occurred in the speech, and the change which is occurring in your mind while listening to me, the change is so fathomable, but yet a mind which is lost in its own confusions and delusions finds it very difficult to know this. Today we are here, as His Holiness Karmapa very well said, not just to honor the one Karmapa who happened years ago, but we are here to acknowledge that we all have the same Buddhahood in us. And we need to work on that. And we need to awaken this sleeping Buddha within us so that we can relish our own Buddhahood. And true, the three Ratnas, Buddham Sharanam Gacchami, true. But is it just a Buddha who is outside of us? Is it just a Buddha who got his enlightenment under the tree in Gaya? Or are we talking just about the master who happened in the 11th century? Or are we talking about just the anonymous, so many masters about whom we don't even know what their names were? But the truth is this, not only we are bowing in reverence to all these great Buddhas, from Amitabha to Padmanabha, to Nagarjuna, to Tilopa, but truth is this bow is actually meant for the Buddha which is in you, which is still sleeping, which still has the cover of darkness on it, and is still waiting for its illumination. So the mind which has been always busy in its own mistakes and never learning from the mistakes, that same fallible, changeable mind has to be brought on the path of meditation, on the path of spiritual practice, so that one day the mind can really wake up and it can realize what reality was bang in front of us, but we had missed it so wonderfully that it seems like a joke. And someone said that I do wish to bow with all reverence to the Buddha, but I don't wish to be a Buddha. I say I will still bow to this foolish Buddha. Because we have our choices and we have the freedom, and this is the beauty that you can use this freedom in whichever way you wish. And nobody can change anybody until and unless the person decides to bring that change to oneself. And that revolution can begin for you today, this moment. This true moment of acceptance of our darkness, and acceptance that there is an objective in front of us. Being a human, being born in such a family where you could listen and hear and read and see those pictures of great masters and Buddhas, I believe is the biggest fortune which anybody can have. And being able to understand the scriptures, the words of the masters, and being able to bring those practices beginning from non-violence, not only to others, but to yourself. I always say this, when you cry out of disparity and stress, you are being violent, and you are being violent to yourself. When you are being violent to yourself, how can you be non-violent practitioners? So it has to begin from us. So the beauty of these great teachings which we have, and now I just wish to remind you once again that a living master is the best example that this is what you can be. Choose either to be that or choose not to be that. That is still with you. But still, in the end, I would like to thank His Holiness Karmapa for so warmly inviting me here to share this dais and to see these beautiful faces who are smiling and beaming by being with their master and by being in this beautiful occasion. And I say my pranam to this whole lineage, and I say my pranam to all the Mahasiddhas, all the great masters in the past, in the present, and in the future, all those who would be born again with us. Thank you very much.